Hey there, Go community. It's Jordan Derringer High. This week on The Gaming Outsider, Scott, Zack, and CB get into the Halloween spirit and discuss all things horror games. Which games are their go-tos, and which games are just straight up spooky. In news, the guys talk about Tom Holland and a few first shots as Nathan Drake, the release of the Atari VCS, and an Xbox fridge? Trick or treat, this is The Gaming Outsider.
Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 318 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, October 26th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Zach Parkerson.
Well, hi. How you doing? You caught me off guard with your beautiful face.
I caught you off guard with my face? That makes a lot of sense.
Hey, man, you look good.
And Chris Berensmeyer.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Doing all right. I did not see either of you at Community Game Night this past weekend.
I was working.
You were working, okay.
I was also working.
Okay. I was not working, but I did do Community Game Night. We had a pretty good time. I finally played Among Us. It was the first time I played that game.
You're as cool as all of your students now.
Yeah, my kids say sus all the time. And
yes, every people I work with, customers say sus now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that game is like taken the world by storm.
A 2.5-year-old video game.
That is but isn't that crazy? That game's been out for a while. Why did it all of a sudden become popular?
I think it was just one big streamer played it, and it just took off from there. You know, like a little.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, a little. What do you think? A domino effect. That's the term.
There you go. It is a fun game. It is definitely a lot more fun playing in a party chat with people. Because I play it on my phone because it's not on Mac for some stupid reason. It's on PC for $5, but it's free on your phone. And playing on your phone is kind of a pain, but if you're not in a Discord chat like we were, I can't imagine how that game would be fun. There's no way to communicate with anybody to figure out, I saw this happen. No, you just do whatever. That's not fun.
I found the most fun I've found was because it has lobbies like the old Gears of War days, Scott, where you say with the same people over and over again.
Right.
So you kind of start to build rapport with strangers, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Start recognizing the names. Although you can just put like whatever name in there. It's not like you use the same one every time.
No, but if you're still playing it, every match with the same people, it makes me yearn for the days before matchmaking.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really want to go back and do some Gears again. If I cannot get my microphone, my mic headset for Xbox to work. I need to borrow your CB to see if it's a microphone issue or if there's something wrong with my console. Because I can hear everybody through my TV, but they cannot hear me. I've tried to switch it to my headphones. It doesn't work. But anyway, long story short, I had a blast playing Among Us. That was all we played that night, but it is super fun. And I know that the community was talking on Discord that they want to do another one and bring Killer Queen Black back into the mix.
Oh, nice. I bought that when it was on sale for $2.
$2 is an insanely good deal for that game. If it's still out there, go buy that game for $2.
I mean, $2 is a good deal for any game, really.
I mean,
true, but that's a lot of game.
You bought it digitally for $2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you can only get, or no, there's a physical copy, but it's limited to run, isn't it?
No, it is not. I actually picked up a physical copy from GameStop for like $7.99.
Oh, nice. It's a great game. That, and I would like to play some more online. Like I said, I just gotta get my microphone issues sorted out. And so CB, when you come to bring back my Mario Kart Live home circuit thing,
no.
I need you to bring.
Never gonna happen.
I need you to bring a microphone for me so I can try it out.
I'll bring you a microphone. And also go pick up.
You need to let me play with Mario Kart, man. I need to play that thing.
Nope.
I keep sending you links when it goes available online somewhere so that you can purchase your own and send me back my copy because I really need to play that game.
I did buy a Luigi one.
You got one?
Yep.
Okay, so you don't need the Mario one now.
But he likes Mario more.
No, because then I can play with AJ.
You know it's mine, right?
No, it's mine now.
You know I paid for it and said, here, I don't have spot for it to use it here. I'm going to take it to school eventually when I get my students, but you can take it so that we have something to talk about on the show. The understanding was that you were going to be returning it to me so that I could play with it.
No. Possession's 9/10 the law.
Are you truly going to deprive this man of spending quality time with his son? Is that the kind of person you are, Scott?
Yes. Yes, 100%. Quality time with the son, the guy that plays through Assassin's Creed Odyssey in a weekend.
Right.
Hey,
Twice.
Hey, man, Valhalla is coming.
Oh man, yeah. Are you going to review that one? You're the only one that could beat it in like a half a day.
Yeah, I'll get it. I mean, it'll release midnight, and I'll have it done by like 9 a.m.
Yeah. That should be a great opportunity for you to sneak into his house and take your Mario Kart back when he's distracted.
There you go.
What are you talking about? Me running around my house with a Viking axe in a loincloth and be like, no, it's mine.
A loincloth.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but no, seriously. I need it back.
Never.
Like I really need it back. I need to set it up in the hallway of my schools and just like watch the kids go crazy and want to play it because that just sounds like super fun.
I can just see it now. Scott's gonna be like, and it's broken.
Probably.
Right, yeah.
But then the school can pay for it. So let's jump into the week's news. So this week, Atari officially announced their new console. I know we had heard about it in the past, but it's officially announced, called the VCS. We got our first shot of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake in the Uncharted movie. Also, apparently there is an Xbox Series X refrigerator. They're owning the memes, which is pretty cool. And still in the news with Atari, they also revealed the concept art for their upcoming hotels. And this one's for me more than anybody, but the Mandalorian Pinball FX table was announced today. And I about creamed my pants because I cannot wait to play the Mandalorian Pinball table. Who wants to start things off here with the news?
Well, I think I'm going to dive first in and take the VCS.
Okay.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, I'm really shocked that you're going to go for the retro.
Oh, no. You're going to be surprised because this actually pisses me off.
I don't get it.
I read this and I thought of you the whole time.
Yeah, I was one of the first Kickstarters for this. And I still haven't received any updates on whether or not I'm going to get a console.
Oh, so you paid for this, funded it, and how much did you spend, if you don't mind me asking?
$300.
$300?
Gone.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I assume you will get your console.
Nope.
Well,
because with Kickstarter, there's no contract. They're not required to do anything. They get your money and they say they're going to do it and they promise it, but it's just like a handshake kind of deal on Kickstarter. They're not legally obligated to give you anything.
I've been burned on Kickstarter before, and now that this is officially a thing, yeah, this makes me mad.
I hold out. I would just assume they get the retail version out and then they give you yours. That's what I would think.
Usually it works the other way around. The Kickstarters get it first. But
there have been a couple like books and stuff I've backed where, very annoyingly and much to my aggravation, they put out a retail version first and then you get your Kickstarter copy, which I think is messed up. But
this is actually one of the reasons I don't do Kickstarter anymore, because this was I think it was like the 5th Kickstarter I got burned on. So I like it really pisses me off. And the moment I saw this news article, it was like, oh, PlayStation 5's got a new contender to compete with. And I'm like, no, they don't at all.
Those headlines are hilarious.
Yeah, they really are.
They're not the same market.
The what are hilarious?
The headlines that are like PS5 and Xbox Series X about he has a surprise new competitor with the Atari VCS. I don't think so.
I mean, there's a lot of things I really loved about this console. It has the vintage look with the wood grain and the black. It's got some fairly beefy specs for what it's going to be. But beyond that, man, like I cannot bring myself to pull the trigger on this at all. Like even if I didn't kickstart this, I can't do it, man. There's just not enough there.
As a non-retro gamer, I thought it was a good deal.
For $400.
I mean, you can get over 100 games with it.
I'm really shocked to hear you say that this is a good deal.
Well, you have a dedicated PC, and you can use it as a PC as well. I don't know. It doesn't sound the specs are far more than you probably need for the games on there, but I don't know. I mean, it didn't sound, and it's also a niche console, right? So you're not going to be able to sell it at the rate of other things. I don't know. I guess I'm off the mark, but $389 doesn't seem wildly out of expectation for this kind of thing.
Because I have zero interest.
oh, look, I'm not going to buy it, but I mean, there are other people who make those like, oh, here's a fancier version of the Game Boy Advance or whatever, and it's like $250, and all it does is play the games you already own.
Right.
This at least comes with other things. It's a niche product. It's going to cost more.
Right, but what are the other? I know it's coming with a bunch of classic games, which I'm not going to lie, I have no desire to go back and play any Atari games. Those were super fun when I was a kid because that was all we had.
How dare you? Outlaw holds up.
For 5 minutes.
You're out of your mind.
When's the last time you played Outlaw?
I don't know.
Good point. My biggest problem is I've followed the Kickstarter forever. And with the absolute cluster this thing has become, I'm willing to bet this thing is not even going to work out of the box.
Why?
Yeah, I guess. No, you raise an interesting point. Atari's not really trustworthy with their own brand.
Well,
they're making hotels.
We'll see on that one too.
Yeah, the drawings look super cool.
They look very cyberpunk.
Those drawings were released almost a year ago.
Right.
Well, the drawings look cool, but so does Deus Ex.
Yes.
They're both about as real.
But with this console, though, like, the Kickstarter happened. They announced, like, oh, here's the first date. Couldn't mark it. Here's the next date. Couldn't hit it. And it's just been a laundry list of, like, it just kept failing. Now they're like, oh, we're releasing it. Surprise, like, nobody knew that was happening. So 2 weeks before your new console launches, you're like, hey, guess what? We have a new console coming. It's going to be available this day, competing against the PS5 for $400. For $400, I would rather buy a PS5.
It's not competing against PS5. That's insane.
I understand, but if I walked into a store and I had $400 to spend, and I saw a PS5,
well, yeah,
and the VCS, which way are you going to go?
That's why they're not the same market, though.
I feel like that headline wasn't really serious, was it?
Why?
Like,
no, it's not serious. But at the same time, who's going to buy this?
Like, I thought people like you.
Exactly. People like me. And the majority of the people that I know, none of us have any interest in this now. Like, we have been burned and scorned by Atari because of the Kickstarter campaign, and none of us want to support this at all in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I mean,
have you seen any games? Any of the new games?
Nope.
That's the thing, is that this comes out in less than a week or less than 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And we don't know anything about it. I've not seen any marketing for anything. I mean, I've heard it talked about on the interwebs, in passing that, like, hey, Atari's got a new thing coming out.
Yeah.
But I've not seen any games, even like specs of the originals, which how much better can you make those games look?
This is going to be one of the worst product launches I've ever seen because, again, you're competing in a window with two major consoles coming out. And you surprise announce this thing 2.5 weeks before your launch date with minimal stuff other than some specs. This thing is going to fall on its face so hard, it's going to make the Virtual Boy look like an amazing success.
So you think that this is that sounds like something you need to get a hold of then? To have a box copy for your collection?
No, because I'm willing to bet I'll find this in a bargain bin.
You think so?
I remember how big the Ouya was going to be, and I paid $25 for it, brand new, sealed, at a GameStop. Yep.
Nice.
This thing is going to tank so hard. I'm willing to bet by summer it's going to be bargain bin.
All right, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled because if it goes bargain, well, I guess yeah. Remember when the PlayStation? I know this is not the same kind of thing, but the PlayStation retro console, it was going for like $20 at one point, and they're already starting to get valuable.
I paid $10 new for my PlayStation Classic.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Mine's still unopened.
They would have had to pay me to get a PlayStation Classic.
Really?
And
yes.
And from what I know, nobody's actually had this thing in their hands to test it yet.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to believe you that this thing's going to fail. Like, why is nobody playing this? Why is
you you telling us about the Kickstarter and the hiccups. There's definitely some red flags, and they're not. Are they even mentioning that weird like streaming? They announced like a streaming service for the VCS like late last year. Is that just dead in the water? No mention of that here.
Yeah, and I think that was still the tail end of that the Kickstarter campaign.
Right. I feel like that was the big hook. Was like, yeah, there's gonna be 100 games installed on VCS, but also if you own one, you could stream thousands of games. And now where's that?
I mean, if they would have rolled this out like the Amico, I have a feeling it would have succeeded better.
Well, the Amico hasn't released yet either, and we don't know how successful that's going to be. I'm still kind of skeptical about how well that thing is going to do.
If Tommy Tillerico wants to send me one, I'm in.
Well, I did order one.
Plus, $400 seems excessive for this.
Well, like Zach said, it also acts as a browser. It's a PC.
Yeah, I don't think the price is out of line. Everything else screams red flag. But these,
what is it? AMD Ryzen CPU, Radeon GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM. I can go out and pick up 8 gigs of RAM for probably $20.
Sure,
maybe less. They didn't say.
But you could say this about any of these reproduced consoles, though. You know, it's just the market.
But this is supposed to be a brand new console. Like that's the thing that bothers me is they marketed this on Kickstarter as a brand new console. And now that it's releasing,
technically.
Yeah, and
it is brand new.
I think this thing's going to fail unbelievably hard.
Yes.
Well, it feels like something I need to have in my collection.
The Amico will also fail, I presume.
And it's hard. It hurts for me to say that because I'm such an Atari fanboy. Like my gamer tag is Warped Atari.
Right.
And I don't want this.
Are you planning to stay at the hotels?
I might if they ever actually
let's talk about
built.
the hotels. What if at the hotels you could play Outlaw at the urinal against the guy next to you?
Oh my god.
How cool would that be?
That's awkward. How's that? I don't know about that.
Well, let's talk about the hotels for a second.
Well, hell, they have that in Japan. You can play Sonic while you're peeing.
Why would you want to touch anything?
You
while
don't
you're standing
touch.
at a urinal?
You play with your urine.
For real?
Yes.
Yeah. So like you can have a quick squirt of your pee, and that makes Sonic jump, for instance.
Get out of town! This is a real thing.
This is a real.
Look it up
CB knows
online.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's hilarious. There are.
Oh my goodness!
So imagine you could have your stream move up and down to move your cowboy and Outlaw.
Oh my god!
I think if you look up like Sega Japan like arcade urinals, they'll come up.
Okay.
I can't believe Scott didn't know about this.
I did not know about that. That seems like a completely American thing more than like that's something that. Oh boy, that's crazy. I don't know about these hotels though. Like I don't travel a lot, but I also don't know if I could, if I would like go out of my way to go stay at an Atari hotel. I think I would once maybe just to see it, but I get the impression that they're making these. They're making accommodations for streamers and stuff. Like if a streamer is in town, they're gonna want to stay at the Atari hotel because then they got a setup they can do the recording like just without having to set anything up.
Like if we went to E3, I would say, "Hey Scott, do you want to stay in that Atari hotel for a night?" You know that's about the extent of that.
Yeah, I just wonder what the market is for these things. Outside of just another hotel. You know what I mean? There's
if it looks like those drawings, that'd be pretty cool. But I just can't imagine it will.
Hey,
don't think so, huh?
Maybe that's where all the Atari VCSs are going to go in each one of the rooms.
There you go. You get a free Atari VCS with your stay.
Oh no, it's going to be bolted to the wall like that. That's their streaming option.
Nice.
I smell another Planet Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, they finally went under, didn't they?
Yeah,
there's like a while ago.
There's 2 open still.
Oh, is there? Okay. Zach, what about you? What story did you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about a story that's not on this format before we recorded.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you see they added Dave Bautista to Gears 5 as Marcus Phoenix? I mean, he's been out on Twitter for years saying he would play Marcus Phoenix in a Gears of War movie in a heartbeat. and the fans love that. But this is really weird. You can play the whole campaign of Gears 5 now with Dave Bautista's likeness and voice as Marcus Phoenix instead of, the actual Marcus Phoenix. Can't remember the guy's name right now, which is insulting to him, I'm sure.
The guy that played Bender?
Yes.
I can't remember his name either. Why can't I remember?
He's one of the most... Joe DiMaggio. Wait, no, Joe DiMaggio. John DiMaggio.
Yeah. John DiMaggio, yep.
And Joe DiMaggio, I think, is a baseball player.
Yes.
So they're basically doing what they did with Duke Nukem in Bulletstorm, where they basically re-recorded the entire main character's audio.
But
I kind of want to see...
As a free update to a year-old game, and you're right, yeah, I do kind of want to see it, though.
Right. I kind of just want to do it, just to see how his voice inflections go. Because, I mean, DiMaggio's voice is so recognizable. Right. I wonder how distracting it's going to be.
Having not him in the game?
Yeah.
That would be pretty weird.
Gears is just not Gears without Marcus, right?
Right.
I don't know.
It's weird. Do you think this is his audition to be Marcus Phoenix in a movie?
That would be awesome. I feel like he would. I don't even know if I would want him as Marcus. I don't know. Would you want him as Marcus?
I don't care. I mean, honestly, I can't think of another actor to be Marcus.
Yeah, I think people are always saying The Rock, but I think Rock would make a better Dom, even though I don't think that's the right nationality, is it? He's Samoan, isn't he?
Yeah, Dom's Hispanic.
Right.
Oscar Isaac is Dom.
Oscar Isaac is way too small.
He's way too small.
You act like he cannot work out.
No, I don't mean
better start injecting
build-wise.
Steroids at a ridiculous amount.
I'm just even thinking. To me, Oscar Isaac in my head is a shorter stature fellow. Am I misremembering that?
Guys, don't be so hung up on physical appearance.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, Gina Carano makes him look small in The Mandalorian.
I want Gina Carano to make me feel small.
Anyway, I really liked the shot of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, and I really didn't think I was going to.
Speaking to that same idea, I was very surprised that I didn't hate it.
Yeah. I'm not saying I love it, CB, but it looks a lot better than I was expecting it to.
He also looks small.
Well, he's supposed to be a young Nathan Drake. It's a prequel.
I'm still not crazy about the whole prequel thing.
No.
However, I just watched The Devil All the Time a couple weeks ago with Tom Holland.
So did I.
And I am sold that he could be Nathan Drake now because he displayed an emotional range in that movie that I did not assume him capable of, because I feel like you've mostly seen him as Spider-Man and Spider-Man type characters and things.
Right.
But he played a very angry, solitary young man, and completely sold me in that movie.
By the way, that movie is totally worth a watch, CB.
Okay.
It's on Netflix.
Yes.
It is. It feels like a classic movie, but with modern sensibilities in terms of, cinematics and time period. Yeah, it feels like it pays like a classic movie in a good way.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
I've actually been on the fence about watching it because I keep seeing it and I'm like, I don't know, man.
It's good. And you know who was going to blow your mind about his quality of acting is, what's his name? The guy from Twilight.
Robert Pattinson. The Batman.
Ooh.
No, dude. He is
he's actually
so good.
He deserves he probably deserves the Oscar for his performance in that movie, no joke.
It's he plays like this southern preacher and really sells it. And man,
he better, because I don't think he can fill the Batman.
I don't know, man.
Do you think he's too small? Is that the problem?
No, I just he's been so typecast. It's just like every time I see Viggo Mortensen in anything, I immediately think Lord of the Rings or Elijah Wood.
Pattinson's done indie movies for a decade, though.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
Doesn't matter, man. Sparkle Vampires kills you.
I don't think. I think he's gonna mop the floor with all of us.
I hope so.
I still just watch that costume test. Oh my god, it's so good.
It was good. But anyway.
The
other thing that weirded me out about the Uncharted, I don't know if you guys saw this shot, but Mark Wahlberg posted a picture on Facebook, or on Facebook, but on Twitter, of him wearing what looks to be the stash that Sully wears from from the games, or not wears but grows, I guess is the appropriate term.
The
there.
iconic Sully mustache.
I'm starting to get a little sold on Mark Wahlberg as Sully a little bit.
Well, quite honestly, I did not think Mark Wahlberg was the kind of actor who would say, "Yes, give me that dumb mustache."
Right.
So to see him actually going all in, especially for a guy who was supposed to play Nathan Drake, and then aged into the role of Sully, like it just feels very graceful to, embrace the character and all of his weirdness.
Yeah. How are we feeling about this turning out?
I'm getting stoked. I'm not gonna
Getting
lie.
stoked too.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of like, I always want video game movies to come out. I am a believer that they can be just as great as any other adaptation, and like that last Tomb Raider movie was a lot of fun.
I mean, I'll
it's
watch
never
it.
one that I watched it. I enjoyed it. I've never watched it a second time and really didn't just feel like I ever had to.
Well, Tomb Raider 2 coming out next year.
Is it? Well, I'll have to watch the original, but I don't know. I got burned with Assassin's Creed. I was super disappointed in that movie. I wanted that one to be the one. Metal Gear Solid is supposed to be John Voight, or I can't remember the director's name. That's like a legit fan of the original games.
The Kong Skull Island director.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
It's got Voight in it somewhere.
Good or bad, I'm still gonna watch it. I'll still probably have a good time.
I will watch every video game movie that comes my way.
Oh, same here. At least once.
Right.
Very few times I've ever rewatched a video game movie.
That's... Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Silent Hill.
I think I rewatched... Oh, Silent Hill is that's actually a great movie. I think I rewatched the Postal movie just because I couldn't believe how bad it was, so I had to show a friend.
I mean,
gotcha.
That's about it.
I've probably watched Mortal Kombat at least 20 times.
Yeah, I guess as
I
a
need to
kid,
go
I
back
watched
and watch
Mortal
that.
Kombat a lot.
I feel like we need to watch that for a Patreon episode.
Yeah, I'm down. Always.
That's a great. There's what's wrong with that movie?
I don't remember. I haven't seen it since I was 11, probably.
We should do a double feature.
Double feature Mortal Kombat and
Mortal Kombat and
Annihilation.
Street Fighter.
Yes,
Oh,
not
there you
Mortal
go.
Kombat Annihilation. Absolutely not. Street Fighter has one of my favorite movie lines ever.
Which is?
Was it where he's I think he's talking to Chun-Li, maybe, where he's for you is the day that your village was burned down, like all of your family was murdered, and the course of your life changed forever. For me, it was Tuesday.
Ah.
That's a good line.
Plus, it
That is
was
a good line.
Raul Julia's swan song.
Who?
The guy that played Bison.
Really?
He-
That was his swan song?
He
He died?
died right after that movie.
Could you
I'm sorry.
imagine that's how you go out?
Well, hey, you know what? Props to him because he actually made that movie because his kids loved Street Fighter. And he actually
that's
filmed that entire movie battling stomach cancer.
Wow.
So props to that dude. And did his
now I
own
can't-
stunts.
Now we can't rag on the movie if we do a Patreon episode.
Right? Yeah. Right. All right. Anything else you guys want to mention before we move on? Yes, no?
I want a new
Last call?
refrigerator.
It would look great in my basement, but that would never fly in the kitchen, as it were.
As long as I
You just need
open
the-
it, it makes
you
the
see the
startup
remake.
noise.
Oh, that would be cool. Like,
That would be cool.
And whenever you
No, every
close
time you open it, ba-dink.
I was gonna say you get an achievement whenever you close the door.
I wonder if it'll sync up to your Xbox.
Real quick, Scott. On this pinball table, I guess
Mhm.
unless you guys really want to talk about this fridge more,
No.
is it actually Mandalorian theme, or is it like everything else that's Mandalorian branded right now, where it's actually just Baby Yoda?
No, it is the ship is like on the top of the table. I mean, it was only like it's really funny to say this, but it's a teaser trailer for a pinball table.
I mean,
They only
that's-
showed it's like about 10 seconds long. They kind of just pan over it. You see, they sell it with Baby Yoda, but then you
Of
actually
course.
see the ship and you see
the Razor
him.
Crest, of course.
Yeah, I did not know the name of it. I would have to go back and watch it to pick up on that. Is it mentioned in the show that's called the Razor Crest?
Yeah.
How awesome is that name, by the way?
That's a great name, of course. Yeah,
That's a great name for a ship. But
Can
I love Mandalorian and I love pinball, so that is a marriage made in heaven for me.
this is
Can I write
Zen, right?
Yes, Pinball FX.
Chris
Can I write
Baker's
a
out there
blurg?
teasing you.
I know, right?
Sorry, CB, we keep cutting you off. What are you saying? Blurg?
Can I write a blurg in it?
A blurg? Is that the thing that I Have Spoken guy rides?
Yeah.
Dave Filoni seems to be obsessed with blurgs. They're in Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mandalorian, all 3 of his Star Wars shows.
And
of course, the holiday special.
Yeah. Oh my God. I watched that for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That thing is... How did that thing ever get made?
It's getting
Anyway.
remade
Is it really?
as a Lego movie.
Oh, it's not getting remade. It's a new holiday special. Calm down. It stars Rey Skywalker after the events of Episode 9.
Oh, there we go. Spoiler
So-
alert.
How's that a spoiler?
Rey Skywalker.
Oh,
Wah, wah.
yeah, I guess so. It's a family
well.
you choose.
Anyway, we are an independently funded podcast, which means we do need to pay for our podcast hosting services, website, all that on our own, which is why we have a Patreon page where our fans can help contribute to help offset those costs of production, as well as give back to the community. If you'd like to help out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. We've got several tiers, many of which include different rewards to help us out. And one of them is bonus episodes. At $3, you get 1 bonus episode. At $5 a month, you get 2 bonus episodes. CB, what's new on the horizon for Patreon?
Well, our Break the Seal Tony Hawk episode, as well as our retro reminisce racing games. And then just yesterday, we did a small spoiler cast on Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, it turned into a little bit more of a review with Kevin, who played it on PC with the flight stick, which was really cool, but we did pretty much spoil the story and a lot of talk about what we wanted more from that game in that series. So it was a lot of fun to record.
And then also, we will be recording this week a Break the Seal on Dante's Inferno.
I really liked that game back in the day.
It's so good.
I still love that game.
I
remember it being super hard. We had I don't want to say an argument, but we disagreed on the difficulty of that game. I remember it being ridiculously hard towards the end.
Well, I think only one person disagreed on that one.
It's not that hard. I'm not being that guy. I don't remember it being hard at all.
I don't either. I think only one of us thinks it's hard.
Oh,
Well,
okay. I do remember Satan be a little cheap with his moveset, but
oh yeah, that was
And
the worst
also-
part. I almost threw a controller at the wall.
and obviously his assets were distracting.
Yes, that too. His assets. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right. Well, now that we've got through that, again, just as a reminder, patreon.com/thegocast. We're going to move on to the games we've actually been playing. Zach, last week was kind of a bust. Anything new and exciting coming out this week?
Yeah, man. You know what? It's a pretty solid week. You got Carto, which is a puzzler game where you're a cartographer, so you move the map around to get yourself around. But you move it around almost like Carcassonne tiles. Looks super cool.
Oh, that's cool.
PS4, Xbox One, and PC, October 27th. Ghost Runner is a first-person cyber ninja platformer. It looks wicked cool. Looks very Mirror's Edge. That's
Rel has been playing it for us already. He said it's Mirror's Edge meets Hotline Miami.
Oh my god!
Okay, the way he's described it.
Whew, I'm getting faked here. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Whew,
yeah,
that sounds beautiful. PS4, Xbox One, and PC, October 27th. The Legend of Heroes. Trails of Cold Steel 4 is the conclusion to the Trails of Cold Steel saga in the Legend of Heroes franchise. Going to PS4 October 27th. Get ready for a 60-hour RPG there. Watch Dogs Legions, unbelievably, is actually a real video game that is releasing. That's going to PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia, of course, October 29th. Just don't
stream it. Have you seen the marketing for that, by the way?
No.
Ubisoft has been releasing like hacked versions of the box art for their current games, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, with characters basically photoshopped from Watch Dogs Legions onto the characters of like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry or whatever. It's like, and they're actually on the storefronts. So if you go and buy Assassin's Creed Odyssey on Xbox or PS4 right now, it has that box art.
Oh, that's kind of That's kind of smart.
So it's like they quote hacked it or whatever.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Something different.
Yeah,
I can't believe for those keeping track of him, Clint Hocking, legendary creative director of video games, is making this game. He hasn't published a game since Far Cry 2.
Oh wow!
Ooh.
He made Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, of course. Tremendous product.
Oh.
He created the term. He coined the term ludonarrative dissonance. He's a smart fellow.
Huh.
Pikmin 3 Deluxe releasing on Switch October 30th. The Dark Pictures Anthology, if you remember that, coming out with its Little Hope chapter on PS4, Xbox One, and PC October 30th. And Auto Chess, the new genre that was all the rage in 2019, finally comes to PS4 October 31st.
Boy, Pikmin, really? I like it.
Wii U ports.
We're down to only one, I think, that matters left.
The 3D Mario one?
That's coming.
Oh, it is coming officially? Oh, yeah, it was part of the
Mario Day or whatever the hell it was.
Okay. That game is actually really fun. I do like that one.
The only thing left is Star Fox Zero.
There you go. What about this Dark Pictures Anthology? Is that the third one?
Second.
It's only the second? Because Man of Medan was the first one.
Yep.
I could have swore we had another one in between there, but I must be thinking of a different name for some reason.
Nope, and I can't wait.
Yeah, you're going to have a busy week, man. Watch Dogs Legion, which I've not played the first two other than just like for a handful of minutes. But from what little I played at E3, if they are able to pull, I mean, and that was what, a year and a half ago when we played that?
Yeah.
And we were a little nervous about being able to pull it off, but as long as it's been, they could pull that off. It was really impressive what they were able to do in the demo I played, and it worked.
Right. I mean, I'm excited about Watch Dogs Legion for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably at the top of my list.
If this freaking pandemic would end and I could afford video games again, I would play it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ghost Runner, I think, looks sick.
Does look good.
It's a solid week. I mean, I will definitely be playing Legion and Little Hope. So
very cool.
Man, I need a CB in my life. A game share with him. Well, huge week, guys. We've been playing nonstop video games, all three of us. I don't even know how we squeeze in all the time, but of course, we got to start with the heaviest hitter of all. Scott, you've been playing Rusty Spout Rescue Adventure on Xbox One. Whew, guys, we've been talking about this one for weeks now. Tell me more.
Oh, man.
You laugh, but I actually had the same reaction when I first read the press release for this game. I just read the title, and that title really does not do it any favors, but at the core, this game is a match 3 bubble game. Like, think Bust a Move. It's straight up Bust a Move, but it does do a few things differently. There are actual boss battles where you have to match a certain number of colors in order to fill up a thing that attacks the boss, and you have to do that before the boss, gives you a game over, and he just constantly fills up a mess on your screen. So that's there. And then they do some different things where different kinds of bubbles that get special attack bubbles, and you've got different bricks that take a couple hits as opposed to ones they throw in some like Arkanoid type stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a Bust a Move clone, but I will say does not control nearly as well as Bust a Move. The game weirdly defaults to if I don't know what you call it, but like the lever that goes back and forth to move the bubble. The game defaults it to being at the slow speed, so you actually have to press a button to speed it up. Anytime I play a game like that, it always moves quickly, and you press a button to slow it down if you want to do a precise shot. That feels backwards to me. And then the game did something that I kind of think of as a cardinal sin with a game like this. I was playing the game, having a good time, got through about 40 levels. You're given 3 lives. And at the end of 3 lives, you get a game over. No big deal. Until I got that game over and realized that when you get a game over, you start the entire game all over again.
Oh, man.
You do not get to pick up where you left off. And yeah, that was kind of a big bummer. So I have not beat this game, but I don't even know how many levels there are. There's no like indication of how far into it I am that I can remember. So I'm debating whether or not I want to go through it, because you're going to get a bad run every now and then, right? You're going to have a game that you're going to just have a bad match, and that's 1/3 of my chances in order to get through at least 40 levels. that does not get me excited to just start a whole nother run again.
It's
and go through a bust a move game.
It's a bust a move roguelike.
Oh, that's a stretch. That's unless maybe I need to start a second run and see if you get some extra things that make the next run easier. I have not seen it, but I'll have more to report on next week. But that's about all I've got to say about Rusty Spout Rescue Adventure. It is fun. If you like Bust a Move, it's literally Bust a Move with just a twist.
Now, Bust a Move is, of course, the game with the infamous baby on the cover, right?
Yes.
That's Bust a Move 2, I think.
Bust a Move 99.
Yeah.
I was saying that is the franchise.
Which is a very weird cover, especially because the characters from the game are from Bubble Bobble, like these little dinosaurs, and then you got a baby on the cover. But anyway, had some fun with that game, and I think it's like $7. It's pretty cheap, and I had fun with it. So if you like Bust a Move, easy recommend. Before we move on to the other games we've been playing, I have a couple pre-recorded interviews for you. We actually sat down with Thomas to talk about. Actually, Zach did. Zach sat down with Thomas to talk about Kingdoms of Amalur, Re-Reckoning, as well as Lucifer Within Us. And then I sat down with Spencer to talk about a game called Dude, Where's My Beer?, which is a point-and-click adventure about finding beer. So let's go ahead and play this for you.
Also the name of Spencer's memoir, correct?
I believe it's on his, it will be on his grave, like emblazoned on it.
His epitaph.
Yes. All right, so go ahead. We'll play this for you right now.
Hey, everyone. This is Saint. Hey, look, it's just a quick note. I'm not Scott. I'm Zach. But I'm with Thomas here to talk about Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. You know, you played it on PC. We got a code from Evolve for this one. How is it playing the game that almost bankrupted Rhode Island?
Hey, Zach. I was unaware of that fact when I started playing the game. Not that it would have influenced me in any way, but it's an interesting story. I actually thought it was really good. I hadn't played the original one, so this was new for me. It felt a bit like a mix between World of Warcraft and Diablo, and I had a lot of fun with it.
That's my recollection of it. Very like MMO-y in design.
Yeah,
I did play this game in 2012, so I'm somewhat familiar with that. Was many years ago now. So it holds up.
Yeah. As I said, I haven't played the original, so I can't compare it to the original Amalur. I have when I was playing it, I felt the graphics in general for the surroundings were stunning. I felt the graphics for the characters were a bit dated, but nothing that would take me out of the game or anything. What is so incredibly good about this game is its story. It's deep story. I've not finished it yet. I'm about 30 hours in, and I feel that I've barely scratched the surface of what's possible here. And just to make some progress, I started ignoring side quests, and and the main quest is just huge. It's big. The mythology goes deep. You really feel like you're in a living world, and it's not that weird when you see the people behind it who came up with it, which I also wasn't aware of when I started playing it. And then I saw those names like R.A. Salvatore, and I'm like, oh yeah, that explains why this is the way it is, because I can see that influence, that Dungeons and Dragons influence right back in the game. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, Ken Ralston, right? Is that the Oblivion developer?
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, I remember the game being absolutely massive, but I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. And, see, I'm very bad with names, so I need to, a few seconds to,
oh, yes.
Todd McFarlane, who you are obviously a big fan of, being a big name in Spider-Man.
Right, yes, the spaghetti webbing.
Yeah.
I'll never forget.
And Eric J. Capone, who is also responsible for Skyrim and Fallout 3. So you got quite some brain power behind the story, because if in games like this, to be honest, I don't play this for the hack and slash.
Right, because you're not really much of an action gamer.
No, not really. I play story-driven games, and this game is very much story-driven, even though there is plenty of action to be had. But I found the action quite simple to learn, which I really like. And then what's fun is that you can you grow with the character, which is quite normal in an RPG, but I also found out some moves by accident. So I pressed the wrong button while trying to do a move, and that actually unlocked a new move for me. So there are some like Easter eggs in there that are quite fun. So you create your character, but at character creation you don't yet decide what kind of character it is when it comes to his skills. So you can be a warrior, a mage, or a rogue, but you can also be a combination of those. And you start playing. After character creation, you just get dropped into the story because you are resurrected from the Well of Souls, and that's the first time the gnomes actually manage to resurrect someone, and that makes you very, 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 very valuable in the fight against the Tuatha. The good guys are basically losing this fight because the Tuatha get resurrected all the time. So they have scores of enemies to throw at the good guys, and now they've finally managed to resurrect a warrior of their own. So you have all kinds of beings chasing you, and while you're getting to explore your background because you have no idea who you are and what happened. You gather XP, and once you rise in levels, you get to allocate certain points, and with those points, you can decide whether you want to go towards warrior, mage, or rogue. I chose to go mainly towards more warrior, but I also have a few mage and rogue things because I like to throw the occasional lightning bolt. So it's a lot of freedom actually because you get to do a lot, and you can collect armor, and you can collect armor sets, which reminded me a lot of from about Diablo 2 and 3, and the colors of the armor. I think purple is the epic one, but if you get a complete set, then that's even better because then they strengthen each other. So I actually managed to obtain a set with a huge warhammer. So so I decided to focus on that because that was the biggest weapon I had. So that actually drove me a bit towards warrior. But this was a lot of fun, you know. I actually managed to get a bit of dodging and diving in there, which I'm usually not very good at. I just run at it and start bashing, but that's not always smart to do. But yeah, you get to learn about the land you're in. You get to travel a lot. There is fast travel, which I love. So once you've discovered a place, you can fast travel there, so you don't have to walk everywhere. That saves so much time. So you finish a quest in place A, and you don't have to walk all the way back to place C. You just you fast travel there, and you get your rewards. I mean, time is still passing as if you would have walked there, but you don't have to do the actual walking and any fighting underneath the way. Unless you like that, then of course you can just go ahead and do it. So I'm trying to find out what is going on with the Fate Weavers and why they can't see my fate. Apparently my existence has changed the fabric of fate it's quite a nice basis for a good epic fantasy story.
Right, it doesn't get more chosen one than you have no fate at all.
Yeah, and apparently my absence also changed the fate of people around me, because you have these fate weavers who can read the tapestry of fate, and they can basically tell when a person is going to die and how even. So they basically know everything. But the fact that my character got resurrected kind of threw out the fate tapestry. So the fate weaver that I interacted with, he was actually supposed to die somewhere, but I saved him. So now he can't even see his own fate anymore. He's like, what is happening? So your mere presence is just upsetting the entire balance in that world. And I have a feeling that it's gonna it's gonna go towards quite an epic ending. But I'm nowhere near that yet, so it's gonna be interesting.
Are you're gonna keep playing?
I'm gonna take a break, but it's very easy to come back to because I couldn't play for a while because I had an injury and I had to stay in bed. And then I came back and I was right into it. I just had to read up on the quest for what was I doing again. Okay, okay, here we go. So it was actually very easy to dip in and out of. Just to play. You can play for an hour. You can play for a day. It's yeah.
So it sounds like you're recommending Amalur for sure.
Yeah, if you're into these kind of games, I would definitely recommend Amalur. If you're into story-driven and you like a bit of action, then go check this game out. It's worth it.
All right. Well then, but that's not all you've been playing this week.
No.
You've also been diving into Lucifer Within Us, which, if you ask me, sounds like a horrifying video game, which I guess it is a little grisly from the trailer I saw, but it seems more like an investigation kind of thing.
Yeah. I played the demo to this game on the Steam Festival 2 weeks ago. And I'm always looking for new adventure games, and this seemed to fall into the genre of adventure games. So I downloaded the demo, and basically what you are a digital exorcist. It is a world that is very similar to Earth, and you are sent to Saint Walpurgis because something very bad has happened, and you have to find out who did it. So someone got murdered, and you are a detective that also has the powers of an exorcist. So you have a lot of deductive skills. So you search for evidence and you question suspects, and you try to find holes in their stories, and you confront them with lies and stuff like that. And then if you do that correctly, you get to look into their minds to see what drives them, what their motives are. So you can see if someone is prideful or envious or stuff like that. And then you can use that information to try and get a confession out of them. And the suspicion is that the victims are, well, not the victims, the perpetrators are actually possessed by demons. And if you can conclude that, and if you can name the correct demon, then you can exorcise him and banish him and maybe save the demon's victim as well.
That's kind of a different hook for a game.
Yeah, and it was very, very interesting. So I played that demo, which is basically the first mission, and the game. I was so impressed that it immediately jumped to the top of my wanted list, and it came out a week later. So it came out last week, exactly a week ago, and I bought it and I played it last weekend, and I loved it, but it was way too short. I was done in, I think, a little over 4 hours, and I loved every second of it. So I was like, no, I want more. I really want more. I want more of this world. I want more of it because the ending is quite, it's quite a cliffhanger. So I'm like, okay, we're getting some more missions. Oh, no. We're hopefully getting a sequel because I want to know what I want to know more. I loved the whole gameplay of speaking to all the suspects, and then you have these timelines on the bottom of your screen, and then you have 2 or 3 suspects, and then their timelines, you can match their timelines, so you can see, okay, this person was there and he actually saw this person do that, so this little bit is corroborated. But this bit, and then you start questioning others, and you start confronting them with things, so you're trying to get as detailed timeline as possible. It was a lot of fun to dive into that, and to discover what's going on for that particular mission, because all these instances, all these missions you have to investigate, they're all connected, you find out in the end. And that's not a spoiler, that's just how these stories always go.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's how story works.
Yeah. And it's very cool to find out what's going on, because these demons, they don't play around. So it's gruesome, but not in like the first mission, someone's head has exploded. So you do see something similar, like that happening, but it's not like it's incredibly bloody or anything. It's just the idea of someone's head exploding, and you see the body, you see blood spatters, and it's all isometric, and it's just really fun to dive into those mysteries. And apparently, I've only unlocked 3 of the 12 achievements. So I think I'm going to play it again and try to unlock the other achievements, because there are some achievements that say that I haven't found every bit of evidence in every crime scene. So now I'm very curious what I missed. So I think I'm going to go back and see if I can find the things I missed on my first run.
Can't leave things unresolved.
No, I resolved every mission. I managed to point out every attacker. But clearly, I must have missed something. So I need to get back into this world, to Saint Walpurgis, to the Abbey of Ansoff, and figure out what I missed.
When you talk about the cliffhanger, does it feel like it resolves at all, or does it just kind of like stop in the middle of the story?
No, it does not stop in the middle of the story. It's more like it stops at the end of book 1.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, it sounds like you liked it a lot, man.
I really liked it a lot. Yeah. My only real criticism is that it's too short.
Well, there you go, man. Two games Thomas recommends in one episode.
I'm here with Mr. Spencer Cushing. How's it going, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, Mr. Scott Clark.
He's got to go first and last name, apparently. Got to keep it formal.
Hey, I'm trying.
I should just go Spencer. Hey, Spencer's here, everybody. What's up, man?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing well. You were here to review a game for us called Dude, Where's My Beer? Which was hilarious because the developer of the game, Eric Zurabian, actually just randomly emailed me and gave you a review copy. And I thought of you immediately when I saw this game. Not because it's a point-and-click adventure, but because you are a beer aficionado. In fact, you have your own beer podcast, correct?
That is correct. I actually do have a beer podcast. It's actually changed names not too long ago. It's called 3 Dudes, 1 Beer now, but it used to be called Screw City Hopheads. But yeah, all beer. And
all right.
I'm glad that you thought of me when you came up with this or got the review code.
Well, it seemed perfect for you because I read the premise, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I don't have this right, but because you love craft beer. And
yes,
like I do as well. So that's one of the reasons that we became friends was our love for different kinds of craft beer. But this game seems like it's a point-and-click adventure where you were looking for pilsners and making fun of people that are beer snobs.
That is correct. Now, just so I could let everybody know, I am not a point-and-click fan. I really despise those kind of games normally, but this game is actually really funny. And yes, you are a man trying to find a pilsner in a hipster craft beer world, so to say.
I hate that I'm referred to as a hipster now. It just drives me crazy.
Okay, when I say hipster, I use that very loosely, but you and I are not hipsters. But in this game, there are hipsters in this game, and there are weird beer names that I have never heard of in my entire life.
Okay, so how is it? Because I know you said you weren't a point-and-click adventure, but it sounds like you had a good time with it.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's a point-and-click game, and you have to go around and solve puzzles in order to find the pilsner in this town. But you come to find out that this whole town that you are in has no pilsner whatsoever.
Okay,
so you have to go
somewhere in Oregon, right?
I suppose so. I have no idea. But you have to go through every bar there, and you have to solve these puzzles, like picking up items in a kitchen, or looking at a plaque on a wall, or going into a bathroom with a lamp with the light off, or picking up a wallet out of a toilet. It's really weird.
So it's standard point-and-click adventure fare where you're picking up items, combining them, and figuring out where you need to use them to advance the story.
That is correct.
Okay, but it sounds like the humor is really what drove you on this one.
Yeah, like I said, there's some weird beer names that I think I mentioned to you at least once or twice. There's one that's called the Albanian Dry Hop Lavish Trappist Apricot IPA. Now, I've never heard of a beer that had that many names to it, and it just kind of it kind of captured me and made me kind of laugh. And I found some really weird other ones like Pakistani pale ales. So instead of an IPA, it's a PPA.
Nice. I want to try the apricot one though. I love IPAs.
Yeah, I do too. So I would be interested in trying an apricot IPA. Yeah, so you go around figuring out these puzzles. Like you have to stop a baby from crying. You have to pick up a beer pick up a beer for a homeless guy. And one of my favorite things, which is very humorous, is you're a very awkward guy. You cannot talk to anybody without having a beer in you.
Oh, so you have to consistently be drinking.
Yeah, so every time you would pick up a beer, sometimes you could drink it or sometimes you could store it away. And if you leave the bar, sometimes your little sober meter goes down, so then you become sober from being tipsy.
Okay.
But the only way to conversate with anybody whatsoever is being either slightly tipsy or actually tipsy. You can't get fully drunk. I think that comes up in part 2 of the game, which it's not out yet for that.
All right.
But you have to, when I talk about the tipsy thing, there's this lady that really got me that was speaking French, and the only way to understand her was to actually be really tipsy.
Okay.
And then you would understand everything she said. How does that make that possible?
So the insinuation is that you get drunk and you can speak French.
I suppose so, which is crazy to me.
Well, it sounds fun. I love point-and-click adventures. I haven't played one in quite a while, but I was a big fan of the Monkey Island series. Do you find yourself, after playing this one, maybe giving the genre another shot?
Yes and no. Those games kind of don't intrigue me as much, but I am willing to give it a shot and see what happens. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see what happens in part 2 of Dude, Where's My Pilsner?
All right, so you're going to keep it going, it sounds like.
Yeah, heck yeah, I would try to.
All right, so is this an easy recommend for you? Or?
For anybody who likes point-and-click games, yes. Anybody who doesn't, no.
Well, but you don't, and you liked it.
That is true, but I'm just saying because there are people who despise them as well, or even more than I do. I mean, there's some that really don't like it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, again, that is Dude, Where's My Beer? And Eric, if you're listening, thank you so much. It sounds like Spencer really enjoyed it. We appreciate you hooking us up with a copy. And we'll also have Spencer's written review available on the website here in the near future. So stay on the lookout for that. Spencer, thanks. Yeah. Thanks so much for stopping by and talking to us about Dude, Where's My Beer?
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. And I can't wait. Hopefully I can come back on and talk about part 2 eventually.
Sounds good, man. We'll catch you later.
All right. Take it easy.
Right. All right. So big thanks to Zach, Thomas, and Spencer for those reviews. Do appreciate it. CB, what else you been playing?
I've been playing New Super Lucky's Tale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think Nate reviewed that for us on Switch.
I'm playing on Xbox.
Okay. How you like it?
Damn, this game is pretty cute.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. I made a promise to myself that I was going to get better at platformer games. So I started with this one. It's definitely a lot of fun and fairly easy achievements too.
Well, that's the most essential part of the equation.
Yeah. I mean, it's cute. AJ actually asked if he could play it once I'm done. So
cool.
I'm always on the search for games that I'm like I feel comfortable with him playing. Because I mean I don't want him tearing up like things like Far Cry or Call of Duty.
You don't want him to turn out like you.
Yeah, that the bad mojo.
Well, none of us do.
You know, wouldn't wish that on anyone. But yeah, it's a very cute game. It's on Game Pass right now, so I'm really loving Microsoft's achievement things, where you can like earn points to like actually like cash in, and
nice.
Yeah, every now and then it'll give you a recommendation in like your thing, like, oh well, you can earn 100 points if you play this game this week, and one of them was Super Lucky's Tale, and I'm like, oh, I'll give it a whirl, and it's actually pretty good.
Does it have like a lot of collectibles, like the 3D platformers of yore?
Like each level has four like different pages you can get for this book that you're collecting. So it'll be like find the hidden page, collect like the name Lucky, Lucky.
Oh, that's
get
cool.
300 coins.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean,
sounds cool.
It's definitely a cute platformer. It reminds me a lot of like a lot of the old Spyro games mixed in with like a
you're
few
speaking
other.
Zach's language now.
Yeah, what's up? I gotta play Secret Lucky Tale.
It's definitely worth a look, man. I think you'd kind of dig it, especially since I know you dig those kind of games.
Yeah, that sounds super great.
Cool, man. Glad you're digging it. I did not realize it was on Game Pass for some reason.
Yeah, I
may have to go
start my Game Pass back up one of these days.
Yeah,
it's worth it, man.
There's a lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Undermine is on there. Just saying.
Well,
but you need to play.
I hear I gotta play every roguelike in the world now. Obviously.
No, you need to play Children of Morta before you play Undermine. You won't like Undermine.
Children of Morta is also story focused. Yes.
It's more story focused, but I will say it's not as story focused as the game that you've been playing this week.
Hades.
Still. Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot to say. I just want to let everyone know I can't stop playing Hades.
And you've beat it. That's what's crazy to me, is that you're still playing it.
I mean, there's always this morsel of narrative around the corner. You know, I mean, I may have beaten the game, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know everything there is to know about Orpheus and Eurydice, and you know, I'm trying to hook up with Megara here. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and hey, you know, and you can add new modifiers to the runs to make them even harder. Because at this point, I feel pretty confident I'm going to kill Hades every time I go out, and it's just, I mean, it's so fun. I think I have like 40 or so hours into Hades now.
Wow.
Which when you told me I was going to play a roguelike, that was not something I thought would happen.
Yeah.
It's
you know what shocks me even more is that Zach reviewed it for us, and guess what he scored it, CB?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 from Zach on a roguelike. It took this long.
I had to have,
a roguelike.
Scott told me it read like a 10. So our review process, if you guys want to know how the sausage is made, is our writers write up a review, and then the editor, who is usually me, we takes a guess at what the score is based on the text. So that way the score comes across honestly, and that way the reviewer can hopefully write the review without even thinking about what the score will be. Scott read this and he's like, it reads like a 10 to me. And I was like, impossible. So I had like 3 other people read it, and they're all like, yeah, it sounds like a complete 10. What are you talking about? So I was like, well, okay, I guess it's a 10.
So what, this is the third 10 you've dished out now?
Third 10 this year?
No, the second 10 this year.
Oh yeah, I was thinking you reviewed Final Fantasy VII. That was me.
No, which was a 10. We had a lot of 10s on the site this year. I've given 4 on the Gaming Outsider, but one of them was Nier Automata's re-release, so I don't know how much that super duper counts.
So 3.
Right, and this is unbelievably one of them.
That really shocks me.
I'm blown away.
I am also
Zach
surprised.
Scored a perfect 10 on a roguelike, which was funny too, because when he was talking about wanting to get his hands on it, he's like, it can't be as good as everybody's saying it.
Yeah,
it can't be that good.
For the record, that's the part that annoys me the absolute most. Is
that everybody else was right?
I was so annoyed that first week on Twitter where every member of the games press is like, this game is phenomenal. Oh, I think it's rewritten the roguelike genre. Oh my God, it might be one of my favorite games ever. And I'm like, whatever, you guys, pretentious D-bags. And then I play it and I'm like, it is indeed as good as they say.
That's awesome.
Oh,
I'm glad you're digging it, man. Glad you're digging it. I'm sure you'll talk about it again next week.
Something tells me I will not be putting it down anytime soon. I can't remember the last time I beat a game and then just kept playing it for an additional 30 hours.
Well, Spider-Man.
Yeah, of course. Well, I had to play
Arkham.
Well, yeah, Arkham City for thousands of hours, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but Scott, you've been playing You Must Build a Boat.
I played through it again. I bought this game years ago for like $2 on iOS. It's a match 3 type game, but it's got a progression system where you're earning things as you go. And the thing that I want to say the most about You Must Build a Boat, and that makes it worth playing, is the soundtrack in this game. It's all chiptunes or whatever, is phenomenal. I never get tired of the music in this game. If you like match 3 games, but this one's more like a sliding one. So instead of like swapping 2 things, you actually take an entire row and slide it up or down, or you slide it left to right to make things match. You can actually slide it all the way across and make things match in 3s over there, which makes for an interesting way. And I really like it. It's very cool. And I think it's like the 3rd or 4th time I beat this game.
Wow. It's a
cell phone game, iOS, yeah.
Pretty good endorsement.
There's another one. I think I talked to you about it a couple weeks ago.
It's
we
like
were
10 million
mentioning
or
that
something?
one. 10 million was the other one. They're both the same developer. And I really can't decide which one I like better, but it's got a new game plus. I started a new game plus again. And it's just a great game. It's just you're always moving forward, and then at the end of the day, you're just doing a match 3 sliding puzzle, so it's very mindless, but you feel like you're accomplishing something. I like it. You Must Build a Boat. Highly recommend it. Older game. All right, we have some new Facebook members to say hello to over on facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We've got Kristen Pastor, Adriana Robles, Tan Nguyen, Justin Jimenez, and Brian Derry. Welcome to the community over there. Hope you are appreciating it. Also, we've got a couple of people over on Discord. I think both of them joined in because of our community game night. Oatmeal, who I played Among Us with, on that's actually Jacob's son, Jacob Gunderson from our D&D group.
Nice.
It's his son. It was really funny because we were playing Among Us and we kept forgetting that there was a child in the room. And as you're in Discord and playing games with people from the community, language gets thrown around quite a bit. And so everybody would remind people that there was a child in the room by saying Oatmeal, because that was his name. And that became the earmuffs of the the code word for earmuffs was Oatmeal. Oatmeal, guys. Oatmeal.
Everyone's got to grow up sometime.
Yes. So we have Oatmeal, and we also have Spaghetti Master, who I believe is Troy. I believe that's Troy Heinrichs, but I'm not 100% sure. But he also came and played Among Us with us as well. No new iTunes reviews or Apple Podcast reviews. Please, guys, if you haven't already, drop us a review. It helps us get the word out there so we can get more listeners, more people checking us out. And we've got a slew of written reviews. Somebody got caught up on publishing reviews this week, and that person is me. I've been a little behind. So we've got Thomas's review of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, Chad's review of Crosscode, CB's review of Crisis Remastered, Zach's review of G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, as well as Hades, and then finally Thomas's review of Lucifer Within Us. All that content, as well as all of our podcasts and everything, can be found on thegamingoutsider.com. And now we're going to jump into our From the Outside In topic. So I went back, guys, in the backlog to look at episodes. I could not find a episode where we talked about Halloween games or scary games. We mentioned it a little bit in a Patreon episode with the old crew. And I think we had an episode with the old crew as well. But we've never sat down and talked about horror games. And since Halloween is right around the corner, I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about them. It's no secret. We're all big fans of games like Dead Space and Resident Evil. But we thought we'd try to come up with some others that we love to play as well. But before we get in there, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. What is it that's so appealing about this genre? I mean, if you think about it, we're putting ourselves into these horrific scenes of blood and guts and gore and possibly being freaked out. Why do we play these games?
I'm gonna kick things off here with Stefan Rombing's comment. The Outlast series is a personal favorite of mine. Well, for me personally, I think it's because of the unseen or unknown element of being spooked. It gets the adrenaline, anticipation, and sometimes a lot of anxiety all blowing up inside of me at the same time. It's freaking awesome. I think that's what you go to the genre for, the adrenaline rush, right? I mean, the idea that you survive something unsurvivable,
right,
as it were. For me personally, I'm not a huge horror guy, whether it's movies or video games or TV, whatever, what have you. It's just not a genre that super appeals to me. But that being said, they're like some of my favorite games ever are horror games, like Dead Space. It's just, I get why people love it. It just doesn't get my adrenaline pumping the same way. I usually find it in games where you can't really fight back. You say in Amnesia, although I guess Amnesia is kind of the exception because that game did scare me. I usually just get more frustrated than scared. Right. When I can't do anything back to the enemy. And in general, I just don't get super scared. Like a video game has to be pretty well constructed to put me in the illusion of that, that I am truly in danger, I guess. Because I don't know,
man. The Dead Space games freaked me out when I played them the first time.
See, the Dead Space games, I like the horror and I like the gore and I like the Isaac Clarke is being pushed to his absolute brink and getting a needle in the eye. Like, that's all
cool to me, a little bit more psychological. But for me, when I watch a horror movie or TV show, I know it's like crazy, like how much I love superheroes and how easy it is to suspend disbelief of 1,600 different universes colliding. But it is hard for me to get over the suspension of disbelief to get into a horror story because, like, I know there are rules. I know which, which characters are going to be safe. You know who isn't killable, stuff like that. It's just, I'm not trying. I'm happy people love horror, and I'm happy people love October. It's just not for me.
You know what? Somebody else agrees with you, actually. I'm going to jump ahead just for a second because Kevin Honigford from the community said that I feel like I'm in the minority here when I say I don't enjoy horror games. I can't count how many times I've been told that I need to play the Dead Space games, but I have absolutely no interest in playing them at all. The only horror game I've ever enjoyed was Resident Evil Code Veronica on the Dreamcast. Even then, I think the biggest reason I enjoyed it was simply because it was the hot item at the time, and I got to participate in the experience of enjoying a big-ticket game when it was released rather than when its popularity had run its course. I don't enjoy horror movies either unless there's a sci-fi element to them. Just not my thing. Just a fun fact, Kevin, Dead Space is sci-fi.
You're gonna
very much sci-fi.
Dead Space transcends horror. Much
what
like I feel like in Dead Space, especially Dead Space 2, horror is the setting, not the focus. Mm-hmm. Like it's very action oriented. And much like Resident Evil 4, right? Like the horror is the trappings and the scenery, but it's really more of an action game.
I agree.
Yeah.
Love that. I've actually been thinking of a game to play. I always try to play something spooky. And I think last year I played the original Dead Space through. I really kind of want to play through Dead Space 2 because that was my favorite. Man, that nursery scene.
Oh, yeah. See, yeah, I love like seeing the messed up stuff and like, oh, I can't believe they went there. But it doesn't scare me.
No, I mean, I think the first one did, because that was what, like 2009 when that came, 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
And it was brand new. By the time you got to the second one, you kind of were familiar with necromorphs. But at the time, that was a new concept, and shoot the limbs, and Isaac never spoke, which I know drives you crazy. But it didn't bother me with him in that game for some reason.
It did. It bothered the hell out of me. But he talks in 2.
Right, they fixed it, and that's just the music and the atmosphere, and going in those, religious altars in the rooms and everything that just made everything just feel so creepy. And then was it in the second one when they introduced those like raptor-like characters that would stalk you?
Oh yes, yeah, the one they would hire it and then like charge at you.
Yeah, there was an achievement that was called Clever Girl.
Yes, I remember this.
And I always thought that was pretty cool. I'm sure Nate, our producer, appreciates that as well. Anyway, sorry to barge in, but I thought that comment would go well with what Zach was saying.
No, man, you're all good.
CB, what do you think?
Plain and simple, I'm a bit of a masochist. No, man, I just love, like, the reason why I love them is because of the atmosphere, but I love when something attempts to scare me, because it takes a lot. There's been maybe a handful of games my entire life that have actually got me to like jump or get scared.
Mm-hmm.
So when a game is able to do that, because I mean, me, like what my favorite movie genre is most definitely horror.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I watch a lot of B-roll horror just because it's fun.
I've been watching The Thing in your honor, by the way.
Yeah, there's nothing B-movie about that.
No, that is definitely
no. I didn't mean to insinuate that. It's a horror movie I know he likes.
That's a film.
It is a great film. But yeah, I love that just edge of your seat, like something's trying to scare the crap out of you. And it for me, it kind of makes you feel alive. Like, that moment your heart just gets going and it kicks in that like fight or flight mode in your brain.
Yeah.
And you're like, yep, things are going on.
I know this isn't a game, this is a movie, but the first time I ever saw the movie The Ring, which I know is older now and might be, some people might think it's cheesy or whatever, that final scene with the ring with a television, when I saw that in the theater, I was uncomfortable in my seat. And but I liked it. I know that sounds weird. I felt like I'm always watching for something to give me that emotional response, whether it be insane laughter, which is easy, or anger or sadness from a drama. But I'm always looking for that rush from a horror film or a horror game. And I feel like the last time I got that was with The Ring. So I'm always feel like I'm chasing it, like the purple dragon.
You're chasing the high. You're chasing the dragon.
Yeah, chasing that because whatever that thing I experienced when I saw that. Oh, you know what? I did get it a couple times watching the Paranormal Activity movies. There were a couple scenes in that where I was like, okay, that was pretty freaky.
The first one got me a little. But
the first one when she first dragged her out of the bed.
Oh yeah. Oh no, man.
I was like,
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about the scene where he was standing next to the bed, and you watch the timer start rolling for like 4 hours, and he's just sitting there like moving.
Yeah, I'm getting little goosebumps now too. Thinking about it.
Me
that was
too.
Creepy.
Wow. See, I thought Paranormal Activity was an utter drag.
Really? Oh man, I thought it was a clever concept that just really worked, and they kept making it work for me too. Like even by the third one. The third one when they had a camera mounted on like a oscillating fan, so the fan would go back and forth, and then come back. When it would come back, there would be like a ghost standing there or whatever. I just thought they would just do clever stuff. They incorporated the Kinect into the one Paranormal Activity movie. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Wow.
The first and second one really worked for me. After that, it was like, eh. The biggest problem is like with a lot of horror movies, they make me laugh. Like The Ring.
Yeah.
The Ring, I laughed my ass off.
I think The Ring.
Why did you laugh?
I think The Ring's a great thriller, but I don't know if it's really a horror movie.
No, yeah, I would agree with you. I don't really. When I hear horror, I think intense gore.
Yeah.
See, that's Grindhouse for me. Is when I think of like intense gore.
Yeah, because Alien is a great horror movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
We're going to talk about a lot of movies, by the way.
Apparently.
Well, I mean, unfortunately for games, it's a smaller niche market. But oh god, what's there's a recent horror movie, Darth Maul, dude.
Ray Park.
No, not Ray Park, but the demon looks like Darth Maul.
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I don't watch a lot of horror movies.
God, I wish I could think of it off the top of my head, but they finally show the demon, and it looks semi like Darth Maul. I was in the theater watching this, and I started laughing out loud, and people were getting scared, and they just started staring at me because I'm laughing, like gut-wrenching laughing.
Well, yeah, that's just a dick move.
Well, I can't help it because it was so comical to me. Because I'm like, that's not scary.
Maybe
like
you're so scared
fun.
that you're defending yourself by laughing.
Yeah.
No. Because
he has to hand a card to the person that says, I have a condition.
Well, I mean, there's so many ones out there that do it better. Like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. First time I saw it, completely scared and didn't realize.
See, that movie bored the crap out of me.
I was like 9 when I saw it for the first time.
It's a little different when you're a kid.
And then I realized that there's actually like almost no blood in that entire movie.
Right.
Which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I love horror movies, games. I mean, anything that can just drive you to the edge of your seat and just get your adrenaline pumping, your heart racing, makes you feel alive.
Yeah. Like I said, it's for me, it's chasing after that rush or that feeling that you get. It's the same reason that you get on a roller coaster when you're afraid of heights, like I am.
You're afraid of heights?
I am so afraid of heights, man. I had to paint the eave of my house. You've seen my house. I don't have a 2-story house. I have a 1-story house. I had to get up on a ladder in there. It took me 4 beers to be able to get.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, right, exactly. I actually wound up having to, and this is going to be even crazier. I had to climb up on the roof from back on the deck because it was a shorter distance there, and I got on the roof, and to paint the eave of my house, I leaned over on my chest and reached under to paint to get that because I just couldn't do it on the ladder.
Wow.
I struggle with heights and always have ever since I was a kid. So, but for whatever reason, I can do roller coasters. it's super high up there, but I'm strapped in. It's not a problem. It's being like up on a loose ladder that just really bothers me. But still, you get that thrill on a roller coaster. And to me, it's the same thing with a horror game. I'm looking for something to challenge me. Is it emotionally? Is that the right way to say it? Challenge me emotionally? Would you consider fear to be an emotion?
It is most definitely an emotion.
Yeah.
Like I'm always trying to chase that feeling of being scared. And I'm not one of those that like, oh, I need to be that's not scary. I'm not one of those. Like, oh, that movie wasn't scary.
Yeah, that's what I'm not. That's what I really don't want to come across as in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's
I don't.
just-
I try not
scared.
to either.
It's like I'm not scared of heights or closed spaces or anything like that either. Like, it's just not an emotion I dwell in very often,
And that's fair.
except for my fear of crippling depression, of course.
Well, yeah.
I'm kidding.
Legitimate fear.
That's just where I always exist.
It's funny though.
So-
I know two of our core groups immense phobias now.
I don't know if I would call it an immense phobia. It's just like it's the one thing that I've struggled with. It's when there's no security. Like I said, that's why I don't have a problem getting into a roller coaster because I'm secure. You know what I mean? I'm strapped in. There's nothing that I can screw up that's going to make this be a bad ending for me. If I'm up on a ladder and I do
So
something dumb,
Maybe it's
I'm gonna
not
fall.
heights. Maybe you're afraid of failing.
Maybe. Look at you.
You know.
Well,
That's
I mean,
something
I'm
food
afraid
for
of
thought.
failure.
you say that there's nothing that you could do to for something bad to happen. I mean, you got on the roller coaster.
Right.
Final Destination 5, man.
It's weird. It's
The
weird,
one
that
where
you know,
it comes apart and they fly out.
it's weird
Yep.
that you know the number.
It is weird.
I told you horror is my thing.
I like
See,
Saw.
those-
I love Saw. Are those
That is
horror movies?
that is Grindhouse.
Okay, I always view them as like thrillers or crime. Like the first movie is just a crime movie.
Yes.
For
But
instance.
beyond
First
that,
movie was so good.
Yeah, it's true. It's freaking tremendous.
I saw a meme today that said Willy Wonka is the Saw of the horror universe, or
He's a
Willy
big-
Wonka and Saw are the same movie. I was like, huh.
Well, when you say it out loud,
Yeah. Anyway, what titles do you guys recommend for listeners to play to get in the spirit of the Halloween season? Anything come to mind, CB?
Alien Isolation.
I knew that was going to be on your list.
Oh,
Right.
that Resident Evil, Dead Space is a given. Left 4 Dead, Layers of Fear is actually a wonderful little title.
from
Is that
Toby
Blur?
Gard. Toby Gard, creator of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Just fun fact. In case
I've not played that one. I think I have it. I think it was a Game Pass game or a gold game at one point.
Yeah,
think.
I believe it was. For VR, Don't Knock Twice is an amazingly good little horror title.
I wonder
Chris-
if VR is not the answer for me in horror. To get
You could
scared.
you could play Resident Evil 7 all the way through in VR.
See,
Test it out.
Yeah, I love Resident Evil 7. What a game.
That was
Yeah.
a good game.
Don't Knock Twice, Christina played it at my house, and it scared the crap out of her. She's like, nope, done. Not playing anymore.
Is it before or after she played every adult video game in the house?
Long before.
To be fair, it does not take much to freak out Christina.
No.
She's very easily rattled. But back to Resident Evil, you're gonna make fun of me, but remember when Resident Evil Remake came out on GameCube, where they remade the first game?
Mhm.
They actually called it like Remake with RE being capitalized. That game freaked me out when I was a kid. My wife likes to make fun of me because I would get up off the couch after playing that game, and once or twice I checked behind the couch to make sure there were no zombies.
Aw.
Really?
I knew there was nothing there, obviously, but I just needed to see that there was nothing there. It was very weird, and she still brings it up.
See,
from time to time.
but you looked, even though you thought there was a possibility of zombies, you were a true horror main character.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
would have gotten bitten by that zombie if it was there.
See, what you're telling me is that I'm just completely self-absorbed. Is what
No,
that all boils down to.
I'm trying to explain. People always say the main character in horror movies are dumb. I always argue that if you were in that scenario, your curiosity would be too powerful, and you would be that dumb.
Probably.
Saying
Yeah,
you're proving my point, man.
CB, do you have any more?
No, but I do have a listener comment.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Matt Ebert, I've always loved Dead Space. First game, I would only play at night with headphones on to get the full scare. My friends and I like to play Until Dawn and swap the controller, wives included. And the only reason I like bringing this up is because if you are going to play Alien Isolation, play it the way it was meant to be. It's got to be late, headphones on, everything dark, like no light around you. And for the love of God, if you have a Kinect, play it with the Kinect with the head motion and sound on, because it makes the game so much harder for the horror side of it. Because if you make noise, that thing will just come for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I thought it was really cool that like you could tilt your head and it would like look around corners too. And every now and then when you would do that, like it would just be right there around the corner staring back at you, and you're like, yep, gonna die.
They also did a really good job in that game, the little that I played, of recreating the universe. Like the ship that you're walking around wasn't the Nostromo, but it looked a lot like the Nostromo.
Yeah. And I know you guys like love giving me crap for always bringing this game up, but the fact that there's a documentary on how insanely well built the AI engine is for this game goes to show like how wonderful this game is. I mean,
I may have to give it another shot at some point, man.
I did. I bought it on sale some months ago. I should really play it.
You really should.
I just heard that like it drags on like about 4 hours longer than it should.
Which is weirdly enough for me to go, do I really want to play it?
Right.
Just charge through it. Like Leroy Jenkins the crap out of that game, and it makes it so much better.
All right. What about you, Zach?
Well, again, through our conversations here, I wonder if my reticence to enjoy horror might also have something to do with the fact that it doesn't usually, the characters usually just archetypes instead of characters. I wonder if that plays into it.
Interesting.
But for spooky games, Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare comes to mind immediately. That is a fun campy zombie story. Dead Space. I don't know, I'm trying to find out how many times we can say it on one episode. It would be a great way to go about it. That franchise is just absolutely brilliant. Even though Isaac Clarke does not speak in the first game is still remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just all that creepy church imagery, especially throughout the franchise, is great. As for the horror games, I would say a good Halloween game, even if it's not a horror game, would be Bloodborne.
Yeah, I was looking through trying to come up with ones, and I saw that. I'm like, Zach's going to bring that game up.
It's the closest a video game is ever going to get to doing a Lovecraft story properly. And just everything about the setting is great, and the way it, kind of transforms from gothic horror to cosmic horror is seamless and wonderful, and that's just a tremendous video game. So I would say the Halloweeniest game I could think of is Bloodborne, and I would recommend that. And you can actually, if it does scare you, you can just murder the thing that scared you, and that's pretty cool.
Fight back. Sure, that is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess it's weird that I say all these things like I'm not really into horror, but I've absolutely adore Lovecraft, which is most certainly horror. Yes,
right.
But
interesting.
Those are my recommendations.
All right, I've got one from Carmel Bear over on Discord. He said, I enjoyed Soma, S-O-M-A, because that game scratched every inch of what I wanted in a horror game. Soma has the atmosphere, the story, and is not afraid to explore the psychological side regarding existentialism. I can play a horror game, whether it be Halloween or not, simply because the rush or adrenaline I receive. The beautiful thing about Soma is that it doesn't resort to jump scares. That game messes with your psyche, which, in my opinion, is more terrifying than a plain and simple jump scare. And I don't know if you guys have played Soma. He is absolutely right. I will argue that I think the gameplay in that game is not great, but they do enough to mess with your head in that game, and it has a really cool ending that I would recommend playing Soma if you have not. So good call, Carmel Bear. I actually forgot about that one until you brought that one up. On my list, I mentioned Silent Hill.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Specifically the first one. I know that everyone raves about the second one as being the best because that's when we're introduced to Pyramid Head, but And I know that the first one looks remarkably dated by today's standards, but man, that game was cool when I was a kid. When those sirens first go off and the world just shifts and you have no idea what's going on, that was awesome. Like legitimately awesome. So 2 is good as well, but that first one will just always hold a special place in my heart.
The setting is just so great. The foggy northwestern town, the sirens, the ash world. Yeah, that's, man, I wish I gotta play these games.
Mm-hmm. Also, and this is a weird one, but there was a Xbox game based on Slender Man, which was not a great game. It really wasn't, but they did something in that game that spooked me. I got you were talking like the goosebumps a little while ago when you were just thinking about Paranormal Activity. There was a couple scenes in that movie. You're being stalked by Slender Man, which you never really see full on. You know what I mean? You only see him as like a figure or as like an apparition in the distance, right? And at one point, you're spinning around doing something, and you see there's like all these mountains in the distance. And I don't know why it worked so well for me, but I spun around, and all of a sudden, way off in the distance on the top of a mountain is Slender Man, just staring at you. And for whatever reason, that just caught me off guard and made me pucker a little bit. So, again, it's not a game that I would hardcore recommend. Especially, I don't know, I feel weird recommending things based on Slender Man, considering what happened in Waukesha a few years ago.
Yeah.
That whole story is completely messed up. But I don't know. It was worth it for that one just brief moment where I kind of clenched my butt cheeks a little bit. What about this is more of a question than like a recommendation, but my students always talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, and I've never played it.
Cheap jump scares.
Is that all it is?
Yep. And Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely a game where you have to play it in the dark with the headphones on, everything turned up, and it's just cheap jump scares.
It's also not gory and not like sexually charged and not religiously charged. So I see why kids really jump on it without even, it probably feels like you're flirting with the stuff you shouldn't be, talking about kind of thing.
Right.
And they're also really smart about knocking out comics and books and toys and all that. They struck while the iron was hot.
It's definitely a good. The format for that game works so well for jump scares because it accelerates. Where it's like, gotta do faster, running out of time, gotta go faster, jump scare.
Gotcha.
And that's what works so well for it. You were talking about the Slender Man game. Another game that did that really well was the first Fear.
I love Fear.
That very first time when you're like going, like you turn around and you start going down the ladder and your head bobs down and then bobs back up and she's standing right there.
That is the moment.
That one got me. Like that got me really good.
See in the second game I enjoyed quite a bit as well, but that's also like it's very it assumes that the player is male and is very much like sexual horror, which you don't see a lot of anywhere. And it's like it is it's unnerving for sure. It's good stuff.
Does that game still hold up? That was a PC game, right?
No, it's on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
The original Fear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's where I played it. I played Fear 2 only like 4 or so years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And I thought it held way the hell up. It's got an ending that I cannot believe they got away with.
I could agree with that.
Really?
And I don't think in 2020 you could.
I'm intrigued.
Another really good one, which is out there for a lot of people, is Outlast.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason Outlast works so well is because of the framing. Because,
the camera stuff.
Yeah, using the camera to like move around. Like they do. It's a Blair Witch game, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you everywhere it's dark, you just have to turn on your camera and use night vision mode. So everything, you can only see what the camera sees. And there's a lot of black, dark space around it.
Oh, okay.
So
is that the one that starts out with a burning building?
I think Outlast 2 does.
Outlast 2, am I thinking of?
Yeah.
It was that when I was thinking it was a different series, but I remember like crawling around trying to sneak past something while the kitchen was on fire or something.
Was it Evil
And
Within?
Yes, Evil Within.
Okay.
Not that's the one I'm thinking of.
Also,
And I
great
didn't
games.
I didn't like that one. I felt like it was the amnesia effect where like you're just running and hiding.
Did you play Evil Within 2?
No, I didn't.
Very different game, and it is
Far superior.
It's night and day, the differences between 1 and 2.
Okay.
The Evil Within I got through. The Evil Within 2 I just couldn't stop playing.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Let's see, what else do I have on my list? I've got we said Five Nights at Freddy's Until Dawn.
Yeah.
I really liked that game. It was more of a story game, but it still was pretty fun and freaky and very much like a summer camp style, like killing off characters one at a time kind of vibe to it. But it was fun.
And there's a fun secondary game you can play with Until Dawn where it's, hey, where do I know that guy from?
Oh yeah, because Peter Stormare is like the narrator, right?
Right, and then Rami Malek's in it and Hayden Panettiere.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like, do I know that person?
Right. And that was also a game that was very one and done at the time because I was not the kind of that wanted to go through and try to do different permutations of which characters are going to live and which ones are going to die. I just wanted to have my story and be done with it, which I think what David Cage always said was his intention for, is it David Cage?
Yeah.
For the, for his games was like, you wanted to have each person have their own experience.
Yeah. He said he wishes that you could just render the game unplayable after someone beats it the first time.
Right. Could you imagine the outcry?
I would respect the boss move. And then, but it is kind of weird because they put out Detroit where like it outlines all of the permutations everywhere.
Right.
In
Like
the
every time
pause
you
menu.
beat a level or whatever, it just goes through and shows it. Yeah. I thought I had one other one, but maybe I don't. Would you consider BioShock? I know it's a shooter. It's an action game, but there are some horrific moments in that game.
I would put that more as sci-fi thriller.
Okay.
I would, if Resident Evil 4 is a horror game, BioShock is a horror game. If that makes sense.
I
think
get where you're going with it. It does blend some of the lines. I can see where you're thinking that it is a horror game. So I guess I could agree with that.
I mean, what's more horrifying than not really being in control of yourself?
Well, that and little girls with giant needles.
Yeah,
That's pretty freaky.
pretty unsettling. I don't know. I am now convinced that BioShock is a horror game. Not
Glad I brought
Infinite,
it up.
however.
Not what?
Not Infinite, not a horror game.
No, I don't think Infinite is the same tone.
No,
It
not
plays
even.
very similarly, but that's not the same tone. It was a lot more outdoor too.
No,
You had that alien deal where you're trapped inside something.
Yes.
Like in the original Alien movie, they're trapped inside this one ship with nowhere to run. Same deal in Rapture. You can't go anywhere because there's nothing but ocean around you.
In BioShock Infinite, the Republican Nightmare.
That was a lot of fun, guys. Hopefully we didn't miss any. I feel like I'm missing something pretty important. It's interesting that there was no like retro horror games that ever worked. I could not think of one
No.
that worked.
No
Like
way.
Friday the 13th, or Friday the 13th was terrible. Weren't there some
so much of horror is the sound and the lighting.
True.
Those are just
True.
not, I know you guys love retro games, but they're just not, that's not what it excelled in the same way.
Resident Evil is technically a retro game. It's over 25 years, almost 25 years old.
He's unfortunately correct.
And it had some of the worst voice acting we've ever heard
I mean,
in the game.
Clock Tower and Fatal Frame.
Sure.
Oh, Fatal Frame was fun.
The PS2 was ripe with horror games. Rule of Rose, Haunting Ground, Obscure.
Yeah.
That was a great one. Yeah, there was a lot of the fun ones on there.
I mean, that does bring up that point. Like, I feel that good horror games are not as widely available these days. Like, there's a smattering of them, but not as many as there was like in the PS1, PS2 era.
But do you think a lot of that is because you're jaded and older, and it's a lot tougher to scare you? Whereas when we were kids, I was scared of the movie Ghostbusters.
Well, as a kid who like loved Children of the Corn, like I never really thought horror movies were scary. I would say no. I think CB is right. I think what it was is that PS2 games were just cheaper to make, so you could make horror games if your team wanted to. But I think they found out during the PS3 era that just with the development costs, I don't think the market is large enough on a horror game. I think that was the problem Dead Space ran into, if you remember, because that was EA's big sales and like we're going to do a big budget horror game. You know, no one's done that since Resident Evil 4, and the first game didn't sell very well, and the second game they made more action oriented. And it still didn't sell super well. I think it's just not. I think it's a space for indie games.
Yeah.
Or Resident Evil.
Well, I mean, Resident Evil 5 and 6 to me were not horror games. They were action games.
They were straight up action games.
Yeah. Whereas like 1 through 4 and then 7 were horror games.
Mm-hmm. And 8 looks pretty horrific.
Yeah, I can't wait. It
does, but even Resident Evil 7, yeah, I guess it was a horror game, but the thrill for me in Resident Evil the 7 was like the tenseness of like, can I get through this with 4 bullets? It's not. It doesn't like frighten me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's gonna do it for this topic. We got a lot of more. That was fun. I enjoyed talking about that, and I've got a whole stack of games I wish I had time to play for before Halloween, but it's now, 5-6 days away? It's not going to happen. Next week is our first episode of the month of November, which means we'll be going to community questions. So we're going to be reaching out to you guys here on social media, asking for questions that we can answer on the show. If you'd like to call in, you can do so at area code 347-746-2278. If you want an easier way to remember that, it is 3477-GO-CAST. And Tori, I promise I will play your voicemail next week. I keep forgetting to download it and put it on here, but we will get that out there for you next week. That is going to do it for this episode of the Gaming Outsider. Zach, any parting words before we get out of here?
I mean, my Star Trek adventures continue, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm about to watch The Measure of a Man, which I know everyone says is the episode, but it is. The first season was like fun background noise. The second season is good television. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I can't wait to get to season 3, which everyone is telling me season 3 is when it just starts taking off, and then it starts to be a show where you're like, well, I can't really do anything else because then I got to watch Star Trek.
Nice.
Yeah, it gets in your blood, man.
CB, how about you, man?
I'm up to season 6 of Supernatural. The show should have ended at 5.
I love how our whole recommendations always turns into movies and TV.
Well, we talk about video games for 2 hours.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Season 5 ended wonderfully, tied everything up in a bow. So, and then season 6 started. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense now. So,
I mean, so are you gonna keep watching though?
I'm gonna go through season 6 and see where I sit with it, and see if I just want to continue or move on to something else.
Just view it as a soft reboot.
It's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. What about you, Scott?
I watched a film that dropped on Netflix called Yes, God, Yes. I think it's what it's called. Yes, God, Yes. It is about a girl. It's the girl from Stranger Things. Natalia, I cannot remember her last name. Natalia Dyer, I believe that's her name. She is a Catholic girl that goes to Jesus camp and starts discovering self-gratification, I'll say.
Oh.
It is and it's not why I watched it. Don't take it that way. But I had heard from the Hollywood Outsider that it was a legit good movie, and I was impressed at how funny it was. It's a really good movie. The funny thing is you'll watch it and you'll think it's a parody, but growing up in an environment like that, although I wasn't Catholic, I was raised Baptist, it's pretty spot on for the language that was used and how Christianity is taught. It was kind of brought back some memories.
Now I am intrigued. You know what? Real quick, I read this comic Saga.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is gonna be nothing to anybody who reads sagas. Be like, how did it take you this long to read it? But I read it. It was only 54 issues. I read it all in like a week. That's a really good comic. Just in case anyone's looking for it. In terms of like shock and tone, you could say it's almost like Game of Thrones, but sci-fi.
Oh, I'm in.
It's really great.
And if it's that short of a run, that's pretty cool too. And yeah, I like it. Well, Zack, CB, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate the conversation. And thank you to also everybody out there for listening. The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas. And all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemmagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.